Remember when a couple weeks ago Sports Illustrated was called out for publishing articles under fake author names with fake author bios and fake author photos, all generated obviously by artificial intelligence? Well, it turns out the CEO overseeing that has been fired. Welcome back to the AI Breakdown Brief, all the AI headline news you need in around 5 minutes. We're kicking off today with the story of an AI-wrought firing and job disruption, although not the one that had been prophesized. So one of the things that doesn't have a great track record so far is AI being integrated into publishers' workflows. We've seen a lot of experiments over the course of 2023 where publications start experimenting with AI writing articles, and it just seems like every headline about it relates to how poorly it's gone for one reason or another. Sometimes the articles are wrong and have misinformation. In fact, that's kind of the most common problem. But then this Sports Illustrated thing took it to a whole different level. Basically what happened is that in November, FutureSim reported that Sports Illustrated, which is of course an absolute institution in the sports publishing world, had been publishing articles that were written by writers who didn't actually exist in the world. The authors had AI-generated profile pictures, and as you might imagine, the magazine's actual staff were none too happy about this. Now, part of what seems so weird to me about this is that Sports Illustrated was claiming that the articles hadn't been written by AI and that the fake names and AI-generated photos were just meant to protect the privacy of the writers or something. It was all very weird. Now, subsequent to that, there has been a lot of shakeup at the company. Sports Illustrated is owned by a publisher called the Arena Group, and the Arena Group has now fired its CEO, Ross Levinson. As FutureSim points out, they were not discreet about this news, publishing a press release that was sent out to business wires as a for example. Arena Group majority investor and founder of 5 Hour Energy, Manoj Barga, will now be taking over temporary control as interim CEO, and apparently he is trying to shake things up. Apparently, in a meeting last week following the termination of a separate set of executives, he was lecturing the staff to, quote, stop doing dumb stuff, and said, quote, the amount of useless stuff you guys do is staggering. Now, it is worth noting that although they are being loud about Levinson's departure, they didn't say that it was specifically having to do with this whole AI scandal. The party line remains that the group that was at fault was actually a contractor called Advon Commerce, and that it was them that had posted those particular articles. In any case, it's another great reminder of just how tense and weird the transition to an AI-integrated world is going to be, especially in the world of publishing, and I'm sure it's not the last time that we'll see a story just like this one. Next up, we move over to the world of policy. Of course, as I mentioned yesterday, the EU AI Act has advanced past its next level of political agreement, and now the technical experts get together to start to hash out exactly what the boundaries of the law will be and how it's supposed to be implemented, which of course brings with it a whole new dimension and opportunity for challenge and disagreement. Speaking of which, not everyone is happy about the deal that has been struck. The Financial Times reports that French President Emmanuel Macron is unhappy about the state of the act and is arguing that it's going to cripple European tech companies as they try to compete with rivals from the US, the UK, and China. On Monday, Macron said, "We can decide to regulate much faster and much stronger than our major competitors, but we will regulate things that we no longer produce or invent. This is never a good idea." Now, Macron's specific frustration is around the rules for foundation models, and it seems that he specifically has Mistral in mind. Mistral, of course, is the Paris-based startup that just raised money at a $2 billion valuation, and which has stolen a lot of the momentum in the open source space from the biggest player in that area, which is, of course, Meta. Writes the FT, Macron's comments may presage a new battle over the final terms of the AI Act, which still needs to be ratified by member states over the coming weeks. France, alongside Germany and Italy, are in early discussions about seeking alterations or preventing the law from being passed. Said a person with knowledge of the talks, the stakes are high and the French will try to block this. Now again, at issue is the fact that at the end of this process, which has been ongoing for years, the AI Act tried to fold in these foundation models, which has caused a lot of the chagrin. Said Cecilia Bonfield-Dahl, Director General for Digital Europe, the last-minute attempt to regulate foundation models has turned this on its head. The new requirements, on top of other sweeping new laws like the Data Act, will take a lot of resources for companies to comply with, resources that will be spent on lawyers instead of hiring AI engineers. Meanwhile, over in the US, as election season begins to heat up heading into 2024's presidential election, one campaign in Pennsylvania has deployed what they're calling the first AI-powered robocaller. Now, robocallers are, of course, pieces of software that call vast lists of donors and try to remind them to vote or give them information about specific candidates. But this new AI-powered version being deployed by Democrat Shemaine Daniels is a fish of a different color indeed. The AI campaign volunteer called Ashley, which was built by a London-based company called Cyvox, actually analyzes data about the voter that it's calling, and then uses that to hold a conversation where the responses are neither canned nor pre-recorded. Writes Reuters, over the weekend, Ashley called thousands of Pennsylvania voters on behalf of Daniels. Like a seasoned campaign volunteer, Ashley analyzes voter profiles to tailor conversations around their key issues. Unlike a human, Ashley always shows up for the job, has a perfect recall of all of Daniels' positions, and does not feel dejected when she's hung up on. Said Ilya Muzikansky, the CEO of Cyvox, "This is going to scale fast. We intend to be making tens of thousands of calls a day by the end of the year and into six digits pretty soon. This is coming for the 2024 election, and it's coming in a very big way." Now, one interesting note, given our later discussion of the changing nature of startup funding in this space, the company behind Ashley decided not to take venture capital because they don't want to have any tension around how fast they decide to grow and any ethical considerations that come up as they deploy this technology in a very challenging area. The company has also set up a committee that's empowered to force the CEO to publicly disclose anything of concern about the company, and they decided to give Ashley a robotic-sounding voice and disclose she's an AI, rather than try to trick people into thinking that she is a human. Now, of course, it's possible that this type of use of AI won't actually be allowed by the time the election cycle is finished, but as for now, we are in weird gray area, and again, there's going to be a lot more like Ashley coming soon. Moving over to markets for just a moment, in another sign of investor excitement around AI, Cathie Wood's ARK is loading back up on Microsoft and Meta after a multi-month absence from both of those stocks. For the first time in 5 months, Cathie Wood has bought Meta stock, and for the first time in 9 months, the company is loaded up on Microsoft. One of the fascinating sub-stories of 2023 will be the extent to which enthusiasm around AI bolstered the market in the face of what seems like a never-ending supply of negative news in other parts of the market. Lastly today, a nice little interesting story that actually serves in some ways as counter to what's going to be a part of the main episode. A startup from two ex-Googlers who wrote a famed research paper while they were at the company has come out of stealth and announced that they've raised $57 million. The company is called Essential AI and says that they're basically trying to build the enterprise brain. From Bloomberg, the company will use AI for corporate functions such as data analysis and promises to automate monotonous tasks. Now, of course, there are numerous companies going after the same space, but with $57 million and the type of talent that this company has, it seems like investors think that they have some particular insights which might give them a leg up. However, as you will see if you stick around, it seems like increasingly this sort of mega fundraising round is harder and harder for AI startups to come by. Anyways, friends, that is where we will wrap the brief. Up next, the main AI breakdown.